journey to excellence begins. It's Green Bay Packers preseason football on the Packers TV network.
From Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, it's the fourth and final preseason game for the Green Bay Packers tonight, taking on the visiting New Orleans Saints. And a pleasant good evening, everyone, from Lambeau, along with former NFL MVP Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan. We thank you for joining us tonight. Unfortunately, Rich, in this preseason, injuries have seemingly taken the major headlines of it so far.
Yeah, not just here in Green Bay, Kevin, but really around the National Football League. Too many injuries to some key players. And, of course, you look at what happened to Jordy Nelson a couple weeks ago against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Devastating loss for this passing attack of the Packers. And, of course, last week, Randall Cobb goes down. Everyone was holding their breath. He tells us he'll be ready for week one. But the offensive line's beat up. You see Balaga nursing a left ankle. 4 starters really didn't play much last week. Micah Hyde goes to the locker room with a neck injury. They have to come out of preseason healthy. That's not the case right now with the Packers.
That third preseason game normally is when you have your dress rehearsal, but a lot of first-string guys on offense didn't play. Defensively, though, a different story. The number one defense was in there, and Philadelphia's quarterback, Sam Bradford, ripped right through him.
He really did, and I think Dom Capers and the defensive staff have to be concerned. They did not start this game well. They looked like a step slow most of the first half, and again, some communication issues. They had some key adjustment errors in coverage, too many missed assignments, too many mental errors against the Philadelphia offense that looked terrific last week.
No one appreciates good quarterback play than my friend here, Rich Gannon. So that being said, the rookie out of UCLA, Brett Hundley, was pretty impressive last week.
I thought he took a big step, Kevin. Really starting a preseason game, and I thought he just really handled everything so well. 22 of 31, 315 yards. He had an interception early that got returned for a touchdown, but he didn't blink. He came right back, made a lot of big throws in this game. He looks very natural. I think his footwork is getting better. The decision-making, he's getting the ball out quick. He is very, very comfortable, obviously, throwing the ball on the move outside the pocket. That was a great performance from Brett Hundley last week.
315 yards. He looked terrific. He'll play a lot tonight. All NFL rosters right now, it's 75 players. By Saturday, they've got to be down to 53. The all-important Game 4. It's the Saints and the Packers coming up next from Lambeau. Quarter tonight is sponsored by the Wisconsin Dental Association. Routine dental exams cost less per month than the average cell phone bill. Visit WDA.org to find a Wisconsin Dental Association dentist near you for affordable preventive care. The Packers, the New Orleans Saints, perfect night for football. Rain in the area most of the last 24 hours. To the sideline now, we welcome in Rod Burks.
Thank you, guys. It'll be a big game for former Badger Jared Abbrederis, who will play tonight. Missed all of last year after tearing up his knee. This year, he hurt himself when he got a concussion on the first day of training camp. He will play tonight. He'll probably return kicks. He wants to show the Packers he can play in this league, so it's going to be a big game for him with cuts moving. Kevin and Rich, back up to you.
Thank you, Rod. He had the knee last year, Rich. Abbrederis did, and had the concussion, as Rod was telling us, early in camp. Where does he stand, you think, as they try to round out that wide receiver crew?
Well, I left our meeting this morning with Mike McCarthy, and the one thing that really stuck with me, Kevin, when he said the 2 most critical factors that he keeps in mind when he evaluates players: availability and accountability. In terms of availability, Abbrederis just hasn't been able to play and participate. So this is a huge, huge night for him, a huge opportunity. He needs to play and make an impression to make this roster.
There you see Rajon Neal, who is deep back. The kickoff will come from Florida State's Dustin Hopkins, second-year player with the Saints. And away we go at Lambeau Field. The running back out of Tennessee is up to about the 23-yard line on a return of 16 yards. They like number 34. He may be the number 3 running back right now going into this final game.
He's had a terrific training camp, Kevin. I think he's been a lot more consistent. I think he's gotten a lot better in the passing game, much more comfortable in this offense, and another great opportunity for a lot of young players. We're not going to see very many starters tonight. Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, Aaron Rodgers, Eddie Lacy. Most of these guys will not play. A lot of the offensive linemen out, so a lot of young players going to get extended reps.
Exceptional camp are the words of Mike McCarthy about Scott Tolzien. First down and 10. Little play action right here. He's got Kuhn on the other end. He's taken down at the 29-yard line. Tackle made by Edebali out of Boston College. It is a catch and run of 6 yards. A look at the numbers in this preseason for Tolzien.
And Tolzien's done a really nice job, Kevin. Obviously a guy that is so much more comfortable in this offense. The production so much better. Even in practice, Mike's talked about the job that he has done. He's had a very good training camp so far for the Packers.
Janis lining up on the wrong side. Here's an I formation. It's a 2nd down and 4 from the 29. Tripped up in the backfield and not a whole lot of running room right there. Ellerby makes the stop on maybe a gain of a yard. Here is the line. Barkley is playing the right tackle. The center is Treader. Lane Taylor making a big stab at that lineup. At the left guard, Walker the right guard. And then in the backfield, you see the names White and Janis at receiver, Corliss the tight end. In battles at all those positions.
Really curious to see what's going to happen at wide receiver, Kevin. That's a position that I think is still undecided.
Tolzien looking in the nickel. It's 3rd down and 4. And incomplete, looking for White. No yellow on the field. Coverage by a couple on the play. Linebackers in the secondary combining. It's 3 and out for Green Bay. They got a punt in their first possession.
Well, you hate 3 and outs to start a game. And very makeable 3rd down, 3rd and 4, 3rd and medium. And they spend so much time in that particular area to come up short.
Tim Mastay has had his struggles in this preseason so far. And he will punt. Hang time has been an issue, but this one's got some nice loft under it. Well, with a nice return right here with special teams. A bit of a problem. The return by Marcus Murphy. He returns and plays the back. Rollins makes the stop. Flag has been thrown. 47-yard punt with a 16-yard return. Jeff Triplett.
Number 52 of the return team. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
If we were talking about the special teams of a week ago for Green Bay, this penalty is on New Orleans. 8 special teams penalties. 6, though, were discipline things that Mike pointed out.
Yeah, 8 penalties, a 67-yard kickoff return to start the game, 37.8 net punting average, a punt that nearly got blocked. They had a situation with just 10 players on the field, a punt return. So too many mistakes, and as Mike pointed out, Kevin, you can deal with the combative penalties. You can't deal with the discipline penalties. Too many from the special teams units last week.
Veteran Luke McCown is the quarterback. Breeze not playing tonight, as Aaron Rodgers is not playing for Green Bay. Breeze is suited up. Rodgers and Civvies, 1st and 10. Going deep, and he's got his receiver. Brandon Coleman. Brought down by Richardson. Chased down the sideline by Randall. And with Coleman out of Rutgers making the stop or the catch, it's a 45-yard reception.
Well, this is the matchup they were looking for, just a go route. And you're going to see the corner. He takes a little bit of a false step, and just enough for Coleman to go right by Demarius Randall.
Gunter is in too. You see number 36 over there in the secondary for the Packers. And from the Green Bay 40, it's 1st and 10. McCown with play action. They catch him right there. Operum is the ball carrier after the catch, running it for 12. And he's down to the Green Bay 28 with another 1st down.
Yeah, a little misdirection. You're just going to see the fullback work right underneath off of play action. And the fullback kind of gets lost in the wash. This is just pitch and catch for Luke McCown.
Resembles what Philadelphia did last week against this Green Bay defense. Only the difference was last week was the number 1 Green Bay defense. Here is a 1st and 10 handoff, and this goes to Timmy Hightower with a gain of 3 down near the 25-yard line on New Orleans' first possession after the Green Bay 3 and out.
Yeah, and we talked about the poor start last week, Kevin, by the Packers defense, and it just looked a step too slow at times. I think there's some communication issues. Mike talked about some adjustment issues in coverage. 4 or 5 in the first quarter alone. They've got to get that squared away.
Packers in the nickel, 2nd down and 7 for New Orleans on a drive that started back at their 15. Big play, a 45-yard pass to Coleman. McCown, slant. That is grabbed. Josh Morgan, he's a veteran, coming from Chicago as a free agent during the offseason. He's down to the 11-yard line. Brought down by a couple, including Daniels' 14-yard catch. Guyan, Pennell, and Daniels on that line. Daniels, the best pass rusher in the 34. You see the linebackers, Neal and Perry outside. Bradford, who struggled last week, and Palmer inside. And the secondary, the rookie Randall, the rookie Gunter. With the 14-yard pickup, it's 1st and 10. Flag is thrown. This is Hightower. And he was trying to work past the grasp of Nate Palmer, and he works his way down to about the 6-yard line. Flag was picked up. Gain of 4 on the play.
One of the issues last week were linebackers in coverage on backs out of the backfield. We just saw a screen pass by the Saints. Teams trying to get matchups on these linebackers in space.
Here goes outside with an easy touchdown toss right there. Grabbed by Willie Snead, and they march downfield. That was a 7-yard touchdown pass. Gunter was part of the coverage for Green Bay, and the Saints are on the board, 6-0 on their first possession.
And the Packers secondary got outflanked. Snead got outside of the flat defender.
They will try for one. As you take a look at Sean Payton, the coach of the New Orleans Saints, last season a 7-9 finish.
He's a really good play caller too, Kevin. He and that staff do a terrific job.
And they tack on one more with the kick right there by Thomas Morstead. 45-yard pass to Coleman, 12-yard catch and run by Operum, 14-yard pass to Morgan. And they finish off with a 7-yard touchdown pass, McCown to Willie Snead.
This Packers preseason game is sponsored by Mills Fleet Farm, Ticketmaster, Toyota, UW Health, the Wisconsin Lottery, and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
For the second consecutive week, some defensive concern perhaps. The first team isn't out there. A couple starters are playing, including Daniels on that line. But once again, an opposing offense just buzzsaws right through Green Bay's defense.
Yeah, you hate to see an offense coming to Lambeau in the first round and go right down the field. Josh McCown, a perfect 5 for 5. 5 different receivers. Luke McCown, sorry. Luke and his brother Josh mixed up.
McCown's all over the NFL. Hopkins kicks it out of the end zone, whistling over the head of Rajon Neal. 10.5 to play in the first. Green Bay gets their second possession. Saints on top, 7-0. 6-play, 85-yard drive in the first possession for the Saints, and a 7-yard touchdown pass. McCown to Snead. Key dates this Saturday. They've got to go from 75 down to 53.
A lot of sleepless nights, Kevin, between now and Saturday at 3 p.m. Central Time. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, certainly a player like Demarius Randall doesn't need to worry. There's a lot of young players, need to play well tonight and keep their fingers crossed and say the prayers and hope that they get that call. And it's a good call from Ted Thompson and Mike McCarthy.
The quarterback is Scott Tolzien for a second possession from the 20-yard line with the touchback on the kickoff. It is 1st down and 10. And he's got his receiver, but it's incomplete. He actually was going for the tight end, Justin Perillo, in a fight to get on this roster. Coverage by Franklin. It's 2nd down and 10.
Just not the separation you need. That's a really difficult throw for Scott Tolzien. Good look at Tom Clements, who I think has done a terrific job, Kevin, throughout the preseason, getting plays in on time. His formation usage, his personnel usage, and again, they've been keeping it fairly vanilla for the regular season.
Clemens was the offensive coordinator, now the associate head coach of offense. 2nd down and 10. Kuhn has come in as a fullback and 3 wide, as you can see. Looking into the 43 defense of New Orleans. Pump fake. And he's got Neal, who climbs ahead for a gain of 2. And again, the tackle made by Franklin. Caught a gain of about 2 on the play. Rich, when you were in this position, that 4th preseason game, you talked about nervousness. And sometimes you don't want that to suffocate your performance.
No, you really don't, Kevin. You want to be able to go out and play loose and have fun. But, I think these young players, they realize what's at stake. And an opportunity to be a member of the 53-man roster for the Green Bay Packers, an organization that's won 13 world championships. I mean, it's a unique, it's a rare opportunity, and You need to put that all out of your mind. Just go out and execute. That's going to be the key this evening.
Tolzien, who has won the backup position, to Aaron Rodgers. Vunovic with the block at the left tackle. The ball is jarred free. Was the arm moving forward? They jump on the ball. They call it incomplete as Janis was over there trying to cover what he thought might be a live ball. Rich, it's the second consecutive 3-and-out for Green Bay.
Yeah, I just having some difficulty here. A little bit of a protection issue. Left tackle gets pushed back into the right arm of the quarterback. Spent so much time during the week scripting and putting together the first 15-20 plays. Not a good start for the Packers offense.
Last day of the punt, very close to being blocked. And this will land short. Not very long. Not much hang time. Rookie out of Missouri, Marcus Murphy, was deep back for New Orleans. It is a 39-yard punt. It was almost blocked down the play. They almost had one blocked last week, too. 9:29 in the first quarter. 7-0 Saints from Lambeau. With a 7-0 lead for the New Orleans Saints and a 7-yard touchdown pass by Luke McCown. Packers are going to open up this way. September 13th, they'll be at Soldier Field to take on the Bears.
Yeah, never easy to go on the road in the division week 1. And you got a new coaching staff there, John Fox. Vic Fangio, Kevin, comes over from San Francisco as a defensive coordinator. The Bears should be better on defense. And then, of course, week 2, they play host to the Seattle Seahawks, defending NFC Championship game, a rematch of the championship game from last year. The Chiefs, well coached by Andy Reid. Of course, San Francisco with a new coaching staff as well. And
a new quarterback here for the New Orleans Saints, Ryan Griffin, 2 years out of Tulane. The handoff goes to the veteran Hightower. He picks up 6 in the middle of that line up to the 44-yard line.
And you look at these two teams, and Mike called plays for the last 9 years, 10 years, and of course you look at Sean Payton. I mentioned I think he's one of the better play callers. 2 offensive-minded head coaches that do a great job with the offense. And of course, the big story this offseason, Mike handing over the play calling duties to Tom Clements.
Probably still gets a bit fidgety on that sideline. With a run outside on 2nd down and 4 and a flag thrown, and Hightower running to the side and out of bounds near the 46 of Green Bay. And a gain of 9 as it stands right now.
I think Mulamba got hooked.
Holding number 83 in the offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
He caught the touchdown pass the last time. Mike said, Rich, there were some issues with adjustments last week. As you see, Snead basically tackling Richardson.
That was ugly. Yeah, there were some adjustment errors, Kevin. And again, Philly with their up-tempo style, a lot of players lining up in different positions, some motions and things like that, and it really caught the Packers off guard. Safeties didn't do a good enough job making some adjustments, communicating those changes to the linebackers and corners, and something they've worked a lot on this week to get cleaned up.
3 rookies out there in the secondary for Green Bay. New Orleans has it 2nd down and 9 from the 40-yard line. Ryan Griffin, the second New Orleans quarterback used, and outside he goes, and it's caught by Morgan. Morgan's been around the NFL, San Francisco, and he's 8 years out of Virginia Tech. He's brought down on the play by the rookie Quentin Rollins out of Miami of Ohio. He picks up 8. It'll be 3rd and 1 for the Saints.
And I'm really anxious, Kevin, to see these young cornerbacks play this season. I think they've got some good ones here in Demarius Randall, Quentin Rollins. I think they've grown through the preseason. The one thing we do know about them is that they are extremely competitive, and they will not back down.
3rd and 1, Oprah has come in. And he gets the call, the rookie out of Kansas, and brought down on the play by Nick Perry. First round pick by the Packers out of SC 4 years ago. On a gain of 2, and he carves a first for the Saints.
You're going to see Perry coming off the edge.
Rich, the emphasis has been on run defense in this camp defensively for the Packers.
Yeah, it was a problem last year at times, and not having B.J. Raji in the middle. We talked a lot about that this preseason, Kevin. That's going to help, but they're going to miss a couple big men early in the season, and I know that's a concern for Dom Capers.
And they go outside here, 1st down and 10, hitting Marcus Murphy on the side. And he was brought down by Carl Bradford. It is a gain of 9, so they're getting big chunks of yards through the air, and it's moving the chains for the Saints.
And the one thing, if I'm going to self-scout the Packers, Kevin, and I think it's important to do that as a staff, what are some of the issues that they've had this preseason? Covering backs.
Illegal contact. 36 in the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
Gunter covering backs out of the backfield. It's been a problem. We saw it last week. Philly really had a field day against these linebackers in space. And I think when you study the film, you're the Saints, you say, hey, look, let's do a good job displacing our backs and getting the matchups on those linebackers of the Packers.
6 first downs so far for the New Orleans Saints. This is only their second possession. Got a first down and 10. Ryan Griffin. He's got his receiver again. That's Brandon Coleman. Coleman caught a pass for 45 yards in that first position. As we take a look at the defensive line and the position battle there for Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough to figure out. One of the challenges that you have is how many defensive linemen do they keep? And again, we talked about the suspensions. That's maybe going to force Ted Thompson and Dom Capers and Mike McCarthy to keep an extra lineman or two, especially to start the regular season.
After that gain of 7 through the air, second down and 3. Hightower. Malumba from behind jumped on his back and rode him down. It's a gain of 5. He's down to the Green Bay 33, and he's got another New Orleans first down. They're 7th.
I like Malumba, Kevin. I mean, it seems like every time we do a Packers game, we call out his name a half dozen times. He makes a lot of plays off the edge. He can rush, plays the run pretty well. I think he can be a really good special teams player.
Blew the knee in week 2 of last year, and then he rehabbed at the Proactive Sports Performance Complex with Rodgers and Clay Matthews out in California during the offseason. Here's a 1st and 10. Hard running there by Hightower. Some bad tackling attempts. Richardson brings him down. That's a gain of 7. Down to the Green Bay 26.
You mentioned what players are doing in the offseason. We take another look at that run, but so many players, when the season's over, they go back home and they continue to work out. Aaron Rodgers, Kevin, you look at him now as opposed to 5 or 6 years ago, he looks so much different physically. He is so much stronger. And that's a big part of it, is the work that he does in the offseason.
Rodgers at 31, second down and 3. Going deep, and they got Snead again, a little overthrown. The coverage by Randall on the play. And Snead had some space.
They've done a nice job. You know, look at Willie Snead. Not a big guy, just 5'11", 195 pounds, but he runs well. And they've been running this wheel route up the boundary, and that's a throw the quarterback has to make. Ryan Griffin has to make that throw.
Interesting, even in preseason, you can see what New Orleans is doing tonight. They watched tape of last week, didn't they?
They really did. They're scatting the back to get these backs out quickly.
3rd down and 3. Griffin, Snead, first down to the 10. Banjo is there. Rollins may have had the coverage, the former basketball player, and the 2nd-round pick by the Packers. A 16-yard pickup, 1st and goal, New Orleans.
And Ryan Griffin missing the play before, it comes right back to him, and it really splits the coverage between the corner and the safety. Banjo just late getting there. A really nice throw by the young quarterback.
Kyrie Thornton has come back off the bench, and he's got back on that defensive line. Here is a player who was a 3rd-round pick last year out of Southern Miss. Hamstring issue last year on the injured reserve. Here's a 1st and goal. Griffin, Operum, brought down by Gunter. Leaves to about the 7-yard line and picks up 3, maybe 4 on the play.
And the young quarterback's going to learn, you don't pass up the first receiver for a second receiver. When he's open, give it to him. The fullback was open early. He waited. They always say if you wait, you're late. By the time he came back to him, the linebacker was able to make a play.
How about the passing of New Orleans quarterback so far, 9 of 10 through the air?
Really sharp. Ball's coming out quickly.
Tulane's Ryan Griffin, 2nd down and goal. With a run right there by Marcus Murphy, 7th-round pick out of Mizzou. He picks up 5 on the run right into the teeth of that defense.
And now time of possession becoming a story. New Orleans has dominated the time of possession here through the first quarter. And again, 2 3 and outs by the Packers offense has a lot to do with it.
Third and goal. Griffin, incomplete, into the end zone looking for veteran Orson Charles out of The University of Georgia, who began his pro career with the Cincinnati Bengals. It's 4th and goal. They'll drive for 3.
Really nice coverage there. Good communication on the back end. Ryan Griffin had nowhere to go with the football despite some pretty good protection up front.
Packers trying to replace a couple starters or guys that saw a lot of time in the secondary from a year ago. Starter Tremont Williams and a guy who saw a lot of time, Devon House. House now with Jacksonville. 21-yard field goal try is away, and it is good by Dustin Hopkins. 13-play drive. 21-yard field goal. Packers hold him out of the end zone, but 3 to play in the first, and they're down 10-0. We've had 2 possessions by the New Orleans Saints here at Lambeau in this 4th and final preseason game. They've gotten a 7-yard touchdown pass from Luke McCown, the veteran. Just got a 21-yard field goal by the youngster Hopkins. 10-zip Saints.
Yeah, 13-play drive. Kevin, you combine that with a 6-play, 85-yard drive to start the game. And Saints quarterbacks 9 for 11. So you got to look at Luke McCown, who was terrific in his first series, and of course the youngster Ryan Griffin from Tulane. He came in and he looked sharp as well.
Hopkins, who just had the field goal, will boot it the other way. Rajon Neal continues to return. Montgomery not suited up tonight. Minor issue in terms of an injury with a hamstring. Banjo providing a block. Neal providing elusiveness, and he's out near the 20-yard line for Green Bay.
A lot of work to get back to the 20, wasn't it?
Pretty good job.
That's what happens when you bring it from 9 yards deep in your own end zone.
Packers have had it 2 consecutive 3-and-outs. 3rd possession coming up 2:51 in the first. 3rd possession for Green Bay. 2 possessions for the Saints. 2 consecutive scores. Scott Tolzien remains the quarterback. 2nd consecutive game that Aaron Rodgers has stayed in cities on the sideline from the 19-yard line. 1st and 10 for Green Bay. Neal out of the backfield. That's about the 21-yard line. A lot of eyes tonight, Rich, on Jared Abbrederis, the 2nd-year player from Wisconsin, a 5th-round pick a year ago, and a player down for the Saints.
Yeah, they really like the Badger prospect, and of course a guy that was here last year. Kevin, he got hurt, and of course he, unfortunately for him, suffers the concussion really in the first practice of training camp and hasn't really been able to do much until just the other day. So it's good to get him back out there in the practice field, but you got to wonder where he's at, even in terms of being in football shape.
So Rich has the ACL. He blew last August. The former Wisconsin walk-on then had the concussion like you're talking about, the first practice this summer. There's a concern he might have had a history of concussions. Nonetheless, he just returned to practice this week, and for a wide open receiving core where maybe only now the 3 top positions are set, there is some legitimacy to, even with all the camp he's missed, of him making the team.
Yeah, and you think about obviously Jordy Nelson being out, Randall Cobb, Kevin not being able to practice. So you just, first of all, you need some healthy bodies out there, and then there's always the possibility in terms of what happens with players around the league. James Jones is with the New York Giants. Jarrett Boykin with the Carolina Panthers. He got released. Jeremy Ross is up in Detroit. These all 3 former Packers who are very familiar with this offensive system. Their possibilities as well.
It's a 2nd down and 8. Corliss, the tight end, who is grabbing the play by Jerry Franklin, takes the ball out to the Green Bay 29-yard line and picks up about 8 on the play.
And this is really where I think the Packers need to be better this season. They need better production at the tight end position. Corliss was serviceable last year as a starter. Never had more than 4 catches in a game and only had the 4 touchdowns. It's a
the first down.
Key part of what they want to do offensively, especially when you consider they'll be without Jordy Nelson.
With the first down of the game, here's Neal, 1st and 10. Vujnovic trying to throw a block, and you can see the avalanche of defenders there with the stop, including Davison, the rookie out of Fresno. It's a pickup of 2. Where is, Rich, the tight end in this Green Bay offense? What role, how prominent is it?
Well, it depends in terms of who's ready to step up and be that guy. And I think, Kevin, this is an offense that's really built for the tight end. Mike likes to keep 4 and 5. Sometimes we've seen him keep as many as 6 tight ends on the roster. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. Last year they kept 4. But, they'll play with all of them.
2nd down and 8. Lane Taylor holding his block. Neal now has the linebacker Franklin on his tail and then brought down by Brian Dixon. The flag has been thrown on the play with a gain of 11 on the play by Neal.
It's going to be a late hit on the quarterback, I do believe.
Who's coming off a concussion. Mike was talking about concussions today in our meeting this morning here at Lambeau with Jeff Triplett.
There are 2 fouls on the play. He used the hands to the face. Number 95 in the defense. That penalty's declined. Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Number 98 of the defense. That penalty added to the end of the play. 15 yards. First down.
It's so encompassing now. It affects a lot about what's going on in his time as a coach.
Absolutely. It's so much different now. And you see just really unnecessary. Not a huge deal there by Harrelson, but again, these officials are so sensitive when it comes to protecting quarterbacks, especially when you try and hit them up around the neck or helmet.
Aberderis and Janis are the 2 wideouts. Kuhn has come in. It is a 1st and 10 with the lengthy penalty against the Saints from the 42. Neal. Good spinning moves right there. Mabry out of Texas San Antonio brings him down after a gain of a yard.
You know, it's so tough for an offense, Kevin, when you've got so many different players coming on and off the field. You're using a number of different receivers. You've got different linemen in different roles. You've got a lot of the stars that aren't playing. So these guys haven't played a lot of snaps next to each other. Tolzien didn't play last week. He was nicked. So it's, that they're trying to develop some rhythm, some chemistry together, and it's not easy to do in the 4th preseason game.
2nd down and 9 from the New Orleans 42. Neal already has 6 touches. There's number 7. Oh, and that ball may have come loose as he was hit by Kenny Phillips. He's a veteran out of Miami. Treader jumped on the ball. He has a good chance of making this team. He's down.
This is the end of the first quarter.
That concludes the quarter. 10-0 New Orleans. The Packers are on the move on the Packers TV network. Welcome back to beautiful Lambeau in Green Bay. The 2nd quarter sponsored by Menards. Save big money at Menards. Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon. Rod Brooks is on our sideline tonight. And Alan took care of our terrific pregame show. He did a wonderful feature on Mike McCarthy, and if you didn't see it, you need to. Wonderful job. Rod will be with us, by the way, at halftime with his halftime interview. Scott Tolzien will start the 2nd quarter for Green Bay.
Yeah, and he's got a much better command of the offense this preseason, Kevin. He looks really sharp. The ball is not there on his initial read and progression. He does a great job finding the 3rd and even 4th receiver in the progression.
Here's Neal on a 3rd and 4. He's got the first down and galloping into the grasp of Pierre Warren, who makes the shoestring tackle. He gallops for 13. He takes it to the 24 of the Saints for a first down.
Yeah, really nice run. I mean, you just see great movement at the point of attack. Nice job. You get a deuce block by the guard and center. And then Rajon Neal is gone and up on the 2nd level. That's a really nice job of that offensive line up front.
Neal used to play some wide receiver for the Tennessee Volunteers. Hurt the knee last year in camp for Green Bay. Now back, has 36 total yards so far. And he gets the call on 1st and 10 before he's wrapped up by Edabali, who allows only a gain of 4. And they take the ball down to the New Orleans 20-yard line.
You look at Rajon Neal, Kevin, and I think he could start for certain teams. It's amazing to think that he's the 3rd running back on the depth chart behind some really good players, Eddie Lacy and James Starks. But Neal is, I mean, he's a guy, he just looks really, really good. He's a decisive runner.
2nd down and 6. Tolzien looking for his outlet. He's got Corliss underneath. He's grabbed by Jamarcus Sanford, a wily veteran in the NFL, the former Viking. He's tackled at the 13. He picks up 7 on the play.
Hey, just look at Scott Tolzien. I mean, go ahead and roll it. As he drops back, you're going to see his eyes. He's here, and then he's right back inside, finding the back. Just great patience, great poise by the quarterback, working the entire field.
1st down and 10. This drive for the Packers began back at their 19-yard line. Corliss, 2 catches for 8 and 7. Neal had the 13-yard catch. Ooh. Oh, it's picked off! And that stops the drive right in its tracks. Kyle Wilson, a former #1 pick by the Jets, signed as a free agent by the Saints in the offseason. And Tolzien throws it away, picked off right there by New Orleans.
It's just an example of Wilson driving on the ball and Miles White waiting for the ball.
This Packers preseason game is sponsored by American Family Insurance, Chevrolet, Menards, New Mail Medical Center, Steinhoffels, Verizon, and the Wisconsin Dental Association.
10-0 New Orleans. Scott Tolzien had just taken the Packers from the 19 deep into New Orleans territory, had gone 5 of 5 on the drive until the pick. Here's Griffin, 1st and 10. And with the quick catch across the way, Coleman sliding up to the 22.
Let's go back and take a look at the interception. Get and run it. You just look at the right before the throw. You're going to see White. He's coming into your picture now. He's going to stop as opposed to continuing on. And what happens is the defensive back, he makes the play. Kyle Wilson, a little bit of indecision. Miles White begins to throttle and stop where Scott Tolzien's anticipating him crossing the face of the defender. That doesn't happen, and that leads to the interception.
So you got to play more aggressively as a receiver, right?
You got to come across the face of the defender.
2nd down and 1, Hightower. Strung out, has the first. Shoved out of bounds by Carl Bradford. It is a gain of 5. He's up to the Saints 27. They'll move the chains.
He's the former head coach of the Oakland Raiders on the New Orleans Saints sidelines.
Here he is.
Coaching the secondary here there in New Orleans. Rob Ryan, a defense that really took a step back a season ago.
Packers still have the rookie corners. Their slot corner is a rookie. Hightower, 1st and 10. Oh, nice tackle from behind. Jaron Elliott. And a gain of 2.
One of the things the defense didn't do a good enough job of last week was penetrating the defensive line and getting off of blocks. That was one of the things that the coaching staff has stressed all week. They were kind of playing on their heels last week, especially the front seven. They want penetration. They want them to be able to engage and disengage and get off some blocks.
2nd down and 8.
Comes internal pressure.
Here they come. They remain in that nickel. They're going to be run outside by the rookie Murphy. Redwell, Bradford. Now Bradford, who allows only a gain of a yard right there. Bradford had a good game against Pittsburgh, but struggled against the Philadelphia Eagles, number 54.
I think everybody struggled against the Philadelphia Eagles, Kevin. Very uncharacteristic performance from the Packers in the first half last week. They just looked flat. They looked a step slow. Good look at Dom Capers, defensive coordinator.
It's 3rd down and 7. They hold him out. Sneak can't hold on. And the coverage on the play by Quentin Rollins. Pressure up the middle from Gaston, and Rollins was covering the receiver, and they got a punt.
Rollins was all over him. He was in great position. You see here, he does a really nice job not only being in position, as you see Gaston come up the middle, but really nice job making a play on the ball.
Thomas Morstead will punt. Abradaris. And that's what he'll make them do. Miss. 1, 2. Almost broke the 3rd. Nice return by Abradaris, and you can hear the crowd cheering for the former Wisconsin Badger. He's a favorite. He returned at 18 yards. He's been out since early camp and back tonight after the concussion. Packers have the ball when we come back to Lambeau. Rich, you talked about in the open, Hundley, who's now in a quarterback, was the star last week for Green Bay on offense.
Yeah, it really was, Kevin. Historically, that 3rd preseason game is where we see extended playing time for the veterans. Not the case last week because of the injuries to the offensive line. Rodgers didn't play. Tolzien was out with a concussion. And I thought Brett Hundley really took advantage of the opportunity. Graded out really well. His production was solid, much better with his footwork, and very natural outside the pocket.
Running back is Alonzo Harris. It is a first down after the 17-yard punt return by Abradaris. With a broken hand is Alonzo Harris. He's up swerving to about the 42. He picks up 5 in the play. Kenny Phillips will bring him down.
There's a lot of players that don't feel 100% tonight, Kevin. Guys that have been nursing injuries, struggling a little bit, whether it's a groin pull or whatever. They're playing tonight. They know this is their last opportunity to show what they're capable of doing. We just saw Abradaris return a punt that he probably should have fair caught. But why? He knows he's got to make a play. He's got to do something special to make this team.
Good point. Second down and 5. Harris again gets the fake. Hundley will go to the backpedaling Corliss, who's outside and works his way into the grasp of Edabali with a catch of 4 yards. It'll be 3rd and 1. Mike McCarthy told us when they still had Matt Blanchard in camp, who was let go this week, it was the best quarterback room he's had since he's been here in his 10 years as the Packer head coach.
Yeah, really a good situation. And I just think they're really excited about the group. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers told Zane's a year better. And, of course, Hundley's been just a steal in terms of a 5th-round pick. And
3rd down 1. Harris has got it. He's a good one. He could land easily on another roster should he be cut. The rookie from Louisiana, Lafayette, who has played terrifically. Broken right hand, has that club covering it, protecting it. You see it there.
Really nice job on that offensive line. You see the guard pull and kick out, and Harris does the rest. Well, I asked Mike McCarthy about his quarterback, Brett Hundley, and how he handled the starting assignment last week, and he said no nervousness whatsoever. He was very calm. Remember now, this is a guy who was a 3-year starter in the Pac-12 for the UCLA Bruins.
Ripkowski is the fullback. He's in, but a good tackle made off that line by undrafted Indiana Hoosier Bobby Richardson. A loss of 1. It'll be 2nd down and 11. Ball back at the 49.
The penetration gets you every time in the running game, and the back had nowhere to go. Bobby Richardson came screaming off the edge.
Second down 11. Moves up nicely. Ripkowski juggles it, reels it in. Hit by Mabry. Down to the New Orleans 48. He picks up 3. They like this kid. There's no doubt that that fullback position is a focus. If he can play the special teams, you were just talking about special teams before. This kind of game, what he does in teams, it goes a long way to him making that roster.
Yeah, Ripkowski just one of 5 fullbacks taken in this year's draft at Oklahoma. Kevin, I always say it's easy if you catch the ball the first time.
Yeah.
He's still trying to figure that one out, but
Ripkowski was a walk-on for Coach Stoops down in Norman at Oklahoma. It's 3rd down and 8. Hundley. Block. Oh, and they come around and they bring him down. Davis Tull, 5th-round rookie out of Chattanooga, comes through, brings him down. Flag is down, downfield at the 34.
Walker gets beat there around the edge.
And they like Josh Walker. He's very versatile.
Yeah, he's done a nice job. He can play inside. I think he's athletic enough to play at the tackle position. He's a big man. Got long arms.
Illegal contact. 24 of the defense. The 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Kyle Wilson, who had the interception. A hero 1 minute, a goat the next.
That's right. Tell me about it.
It's the nature of this business. Can't let your guard down. Get a good look at Josh Walker.
Saints with their 4th penalty. Walker at the right tackle, but he's played all over the place. Really been solid most of the last year on the practice squad. He's the heaviest Packer offensive lineman.
He's played right tackle, left tackle. He's played guard. The more you can do.
He was with the Colts in camp a year ago, then cut 1st and 10. Hundley going deep for Janis. Covered on the play by Brian Dixon. Deep downfield, they went inside the 10 with an incompletion.
Well, really pretty good coverage here. Would have taken a perfect throw and catch to get it done on the sideline. Janus pushing off there a little bit. Trying to run through the intersection of that throw, and you see the reaction from the rookie, Brett Hundley.
Boy, do they like his footwork. Speaking of Hundley, the quarterback.
He has gotten a lot better, and he has been coached up on it every day in training camp.
I don't know if there's an organization in pro football that coaches their quarterbacks better than this one.
They've got some great teachers here, Kevin. You've got 3 in particular on offense that really spend a lot of time with the quarterbacks. Very unusual situation. I mean, all have coached the quarterbacks. You got a head coach in Mike McCarthy, I think, is one of the best in the business in terms of working with the quarterback. Then you've got Tom Clements, who's been with Mike for 10 years. And then you've got Alex Van Pelt, who Mike coached when Alex was a quarterback at the University of Pittsburgh. And he's been a coordinator in his own right. So you've got 3 people that touch that position every single day in practice.
3rd down and 8 on the New Orleans 42-yard line. Hundley, Walker the block at the right tackle. Down the middle, Aberderis. Down to the 37, hit by Wilson, shy of the first down by about 3. And so now 4th down, and they are going to punt. I understand a little conversation with Peter King of Sports Illustrated talking about quarterbacking, and in particular that guy over Mike's shoulder, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he's there somewhere. He's hiding.
There he is.
We got him right there. There's Aaron. But I got a phone call today from Peter King doing an article on Aaron Rodgers. The fact that the guy doesn't throw interceptions. I was asked why he doesn't throw interceptions. I said 3 reasons: his arm talent, his lower body mobility, and his football IQ.
Packers have decided to go for a 54-yard field goal, and they got it. Mason Crosby, who missed last week from 51, knocks that 54-yarder right through the middle. Looked like they were going to get the punt unit on there. Then Crosby trots out late. He drills this from 54, and the Packers are on the board. 2nd quarter, 4th preseason game from Lambeau. Crosby just hit a 54-yard field goal. The Packers are on the board on a drive that was set up on a 17-yard punt return by Aberderis.
You gotta wonder what these players are thinking, Kevin. They know what's at stake in this last preseason game. They're just looking for opportunities.
Crosby's had a good camp, huh?
Yeah, he's really kicked the ball well. His directional kicking has been outstanding through the preseason as well.
Josh Morgan is deep back. He's going to get this on the run, and he will take it out. The veteran from Virginia Tech, Witkowski, I think, slowed him down with the lunging stop. Also hit in there by Nate Coleman.
You know, a lot of times these kick returners wouldn't bring it out in the regular season when it's 9 or 10 yards deep, but they're being told by the special teams coaches to bring the ball out. They want to get some of these returns on film. They want to see the young players play in space.
Mike was telling us this morning, Rich, that they've had the 2 hottest days of practice this week, and he liked it.
I like it. I think it's important. I think you always worry, Kevin, that first regular season game if you're going to be physically ready.
Snead juggles it, reels it in on the quick throw by Ryan Griffin. Picks up 8, takes it out to the 20.
My concern was always that first regular season game. If I didn't play a lot of snaps in the regular season, Aaron Rodgers has not played a single snap in week 3 or week 4.
Basically a revamped receiving corps.
And now all of a sudden, you got a game in Chicago. Maybe it's hot and humid. You just wonder if you can make it through a 75-play game, or if you have to go into overtime.
2nd down and 2, and a close first down run, perhaps. We go downstairs to Rob Burks.
Thank you, guys. We're joined by the NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers, getting the night off, which I'm sure is nice for you. Training camp and preseason wrapping up. Did you guys get, as a team, get what you wanted out of preseason and training camp?
I think so. It's a great feeling to know that season's around the corner. It's a week away from the day the actual season starts. So exciting time to be a fan, exciting time to be a player. You know, the next couple of days are really tough days in the life of our team, because we started this journey with 90 guys, roll it down to 75. We got to go down to 53 again. So many guys who you enjoy getting to know and getting to play with and spend time with. But it's, you know, just knowing that the real games around the corner is pretty exciting.
Yeah, one downside, of course, Jordy Nelson got hurt, one of your best friends, probably one of the nicest guys in the NFL. How do you adjust to that, and are your young receivers ready to step up and fill that role?
Well, we'll see. I mean, the great thing about tonight is that, you know, these guys have an opportunity. If they don't make our team, they're playing for a lot of different teams out there. We got some young guys who are playing a lot of minutes tonight. We're expecting Ty to come along and contribute, but there's some jobs on the line tonight. Aberderis out there for the first time. Miles and Jeff been in the mix, and Pinkard. We're going to need those guys to step up at some point and make an impact.
You've been very vocal about the preseason games, not the only one in the NFL. From your perspective, how would you like to see maybe some of the preseason games evaporate?
Well, I just think 4 is too many. 5 for the teams have to play in the first one, the Hall of Fame game. It doesn't take that long. It's important for these guys, the young guys, to kind of figure out what this is all about and to show that they're worthy of being on the 53. But I think there needs to be some tweaking. There's a lot of moving pieces, with the amount of games and the owners and the revenue and different things that kind of make it a little more political. But, a couple years ago we played about 45 plays the first team. This year about the same. Last year a little more. It's a field thing on when you're ready, but ready as an offense, and 4 is just, I think, too many.
Hey, were you pretty surprised about what happened with Tom Brady? He's not going to have to serve any of those 4 games. I know you've been watching that and been a supporter. Were you just kind of surprised on the decision today?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good day for the players. I think any time that we can, get one of our own back, that's a good win for us. I think there's, maybe a little bit too much of the absolute power that, frankly, the players. We had a chance in 2011 to really make a difference in the CBA, and we didn't. We left the commissioner in charge of a lot of those things. But our union's did a good job of appealing and helping our guys out.
Hey, a lot of people picking the Super Bowl. You guys to make that Super Bowl run this year. You were knocking at the door last year. What do you need to do as a team to get over that hump?
Well, we got to play well. I mean, it's a long season. You have to have some good fortune. We've had a little bit of negative fortune with Jordy going down, but you have to be playing great in all 3 phases, and you have to make the plays when they're there. We had an opportunity last year. We're so close. It's so close just to get to that point,
right?
And then to have it right in your grasp to be able to play in the Super Bowl and to get taken away is tough. But we just have to be playing the right way in the winter months. Keep this home field advantage that we started last year, the way we dominated those games, and start faster this year. I think will give us the opportunity to host one of those games in late January.
Aaron Rodgers, the NFL MVP, stopping by, spending some time with us. That's always a good thing during an NFL game. Aaron, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, buddy.
Good questions, Ron. Nice job down there. There's your 2-time MVP who has the best career touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history. 6 consecutive 100 quarterback
80 of the offense. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
Yeah, really amazing, Kevin. We were talking about that conversation I had with Peter King today from Sports Illustrated, and he was amazed that Aaron Rodgers in the last 2 seasons has thrown the ball 810 times, and he's only thrown 11 interceptions. You compare that with 55 touchdowns last season. He was incredible. 38 touchdowns and just 5 interceptions. Not a single interception here at Lambeau.
First down and 20 with that penalty on the pack, and this is Crockett, who takes it into the secondary, brought down by Kenny Phillips, and he's up to about the 43.
And let me explain why I think Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. First of all, I think he takes great pride in the fact that he realizes that 3 things can happen when you throw the football, and 2 of them are bad. And I think he understands the importance of ball security. The other thing is, I mentioned his arm talent. He's got great arm strength. He's extremely accurate. He can fit the ball into tight windows. The second thing is great lower body strength. He can drive the football. He's able to escape pressure and make big plays with his legs down the field. And finally, his football IQ. The fact that he's been in the same system his entire career. The same play caller, the same coaches that have been around him. And he's been with essentially the same group. All 11 starters would have returned this year had Jordy not gotten hurt. So he is a master of his domain. He understands this offense as well as anybody in the organization. And I think when you combine all those factors, you can understand why this guy is the best in the business when it comes to taking care of the football.
3rd down and 10. Well, that was like a clinic right there, Rich. Napping out what makes him special. Brett Hundley, look at the footwork here, and now he's on the move. Has to get to the 46, has the first down. Belted on the play by Jean-Baptiste, and he's down to the 43-yard line. He swerves and runs for a first down, 13-yard pickup, and the Packers will move the chains.
And this is good to see from Brett Hundley. I mean, I just think he's very natural in the pocket. You study his footwork. There's no sense of panic. He is a very good scrambler.
The 2-minute warning.
It's the longest play of the night for Green Bay. We've reached the 2-minute warning. The Wisconsin Lottery presents the 2-minute warning. Packers scratch games are on sale now with a bonus drawing for a private suite for 2 games for 25 people. Learn more at WILottery.com. They'll step aside. 2-minute warning right now. We had that great interview with Rod and Aaron Rodgers, and it's interesting that the Saints are here because Pro Football Focus has Rodgers and Drew Brees both not playing tonight, the 2 highest rated quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, the statistics certainly back that up over the last 6 or 7 years. I mean, Brees usually throws for about 5,000 yards every season. 43,685 passing yards with the Saints, most ever by a quarterback in a 9-year span. Kevin, those numbers certainly bear that out.
1st and 10. This is Crockett with a block by Taylor that opens the door and down to the 21. Catch and run, 22 yards by the undrafted running back out of North Dakota State, John Crockett.
Yeah, keep an eye on Lane Taylor. He's really had a nice first half. Does a nice job setting the screen, and then you see him get downfield. Terrific block by the left guard.
Ball moves well when Hundley's in there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. He just does a nice job running the offense.
1st and 10. Walker holds his water at the right tackle. Incomplete. Aberderis with the coverage by Kyle Wilson. Well, fans, be sure to tune into the Packers radio network during the regular season for the Menards Big Play Contest. You could win a $500 gift certificate from Menards if the Packers score a touchdown from 25 yards or more in a single play during the 2nd quarter. For details, visit any Wisconsin Menards store.
I'm always amazed every time I come to Lambeau Field, Kevin. It's the 4th preseason game. Very few starters playing, and look at the crowd. I mean, it's always... It's amazing how these Packer fans come out and support their team.
2nd down and 10. Brett Hundley. Jeff Janis. Lacrosse and the catch to the 14. Wilson in the secondary for the Saints will make the stop. Pick up of about 7.5 yards.
Timeout.
14-yard line.
Green Bay, their first. 2:30-second timeout.
Wilson looks like he might be injured.
A good look at Janis is running the crossing route. He's just coming across under control, making sure he's seeing what's out in front of him. He's really the 3rd or 4th receiver there in the progression.
We mentioned this last week. The attention to detail at his position has been a concern. In fact, he was called into the coach's office recently to talk about that very concern.
Yeah, what the expectations are for Jeff Janis. Kevin, you know, he's no longer a rookie. He's a guy that has been around here now a couple of years, and you know, they expect bigger and better things from him. And I don't think they were seeing it every day on the practice field. Being in the right spot, getting the right split, getting the right depth on the route, making the right adjustment versus a 2-deep look. This is a very complicated offense here in Green Bay.
He has played 7 preseason games. He has, over the last 2 years, scored 4 touchdowns through the air. Hundley, a bullet. Janis, there's number 5. How about that? He's played 7.5 preseason games for the Packers. He has 5 touchdown receptions.
And this is one of the things that he does best. He is a bigger receiver. He's 6'3". He's 220 pounds, and he does a really nice job running that slant route and making himself available. And a really nice throw here by the young quarterback, sticking it in the hole.
This Hundley is impressive. How in the world did he drop down to a 5th-round pick?
And that's what Mike McCarthy was saying to us, Kevin, earlier today. I mean, it's amazing you start looking at these quarterbacks that come out in the draft. And I just think the Packers do an outstanding job drafting and evaluating talent. But not only that, but once they get them into the building, once they get them into the organization, training them the right way, the proper way to become professionals in their systems.
Crosby tries to tie it and does with the extra point. Green Bay has scored 10 points in less than 4 minutes. The biggest and fastest receiver in camp, Jeff Janis, with some opportunity with the injury to Jordy Nelson. Could he be the guy that could fill in on the bubble? But boy, I'll tell you, he will catch one touchdown after another, and that has got to catch the attention of the coaching staff.
And just watch Jeff Janis, Kevin, here at the line of scrimmage. This is what you like. The fact that he's going to start him outside, start him up the field. Watch him start him up the field. Now watch him use this right arm. Right there. You'll see him take that right arm and just swat the corner out of the way. That's a terrific route by the second-year player. He takes that right arm, he slaps the cornerback away, and he creates some separation on the slant route.
And Mike told us this morning he doesn't think he's a natural catcher.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that Janis struggles with. We talk about what is a natural catcher, somebody that easily plucks the ball away from their body. They're a hands catcher. They don't let the ball get in their body. That's something that he has struggled with during his time with the Packers.
Snead catches the ball out of bounds, touchback to the 20. It'll be a 1st and 10 from the Saints 20-yard line on the kickoff by Crosby. Coming up on the Toyota halftime report. Now, Rod Burks had a chance to sit down earlier this week with Packers defensive end Mike Daniels, the best pass rusher on that line. We'll also check in with your local news and have stats and highlights from tonight's first half, all coming up on the Toyota halftime report.
You know, we talk about hand-to-hand combat. That was great to see by Jeff Janis at the line of scrimmage. You've got to be able to use your hands as a weapon to get away from that press man-to-man coverage.
Ryan Griffin underneath. Tim Hightower stopping the play. Mulumba was there at about the 25 and a gain of 5.
Well, a good chance for the Packers to orchestrate their 2-minute defense and to get a stop here and get off the field before halftime.
2nd down and 5. Hightower trying to get it again with the coverage on the play by Nate Palmer when the rookie comes to the sideline after a touchdown pass. First guy goes to Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron walking him through and coaching on the side.
Isn't it great to see Aaron coaching up the young players? And you know, the thing about Aaron Rodgers, aside from being a great player and a great professional, he's a very unselfish player. He's a great teammate. He's willing to help the younger guys. That's what makes him a fantastic leader.
3rd and 5. Saints have all 3 timeouts. Griffin pressured, incomplete.
Good coverage.
And coverage by Nate Palmer.
Boy, Palmer has been all over the running backs the last couple plays. He's done a nice job covering these backs on these checkdowns and these bursts out of the backfield.
Look at the club on his left hand. Palmer's got a club on that left hand. It's broken. Now Ron Zook, the special teams coach for the Packers, knows him. He recruited Palmer to the University of Illinois.
Another chance for Aberderis to get a return, Kevin. Maybe a big one here to set up a field goal before halftime.
10 unanswered points by Green Bay. Janis just about blocked the kick. Flag has been thrown. Aberderis from about the 18.
He's got some space.
Fumbled.
Oh, geez.
And that is a turnover. But let's see what the flag is all about at the 35.
We just don't want to put it on the ground.
Nope. You can only imagine the pressure on these kids, knowing there's a possibility, but knowing they got to go from 75 to 53 Saturday at 3.
Yeah, 22 players turn their playbooks in on Saturday. That's tough, and you're just trying to make a play. And when you haven't practiced, you know, you're not used to the speed of the game.
Player out of bounds during the kick and failed to come back in. Number 24 in the kicking team.
That's our guy.
That 15-yard penalty occurred prior to the change of possession. Therefore, the ball will be re-kicked.
Kyle Wilson.
4th down.
He had that interception. Now he's had a couple penalties. You see,
he's had a tough night.
Actually, well, they call it on Kyle Wilson. This is actually Stanley Jean-Baptiste. Might have been on the other side, but there's a good look at our guy, Kyle Wilson.
He's your guy.
Got some big guns. Not a lot of room left on there for any more tattoos.
Rich, they've lost Jordy Nelson.
Yep.
They've got a injured Randall Cobb. Not only is it the physical toll that's on paper and on the field, there's an
Correction on the previous announcement.
there are two.
The player went out of bounds on his own and came back in. It's still a foul for a player going out of bounds. It's only 5 yards, and it will be 4th down.
Yeah, then you have the trickle-down effect. I mean, without Jordy Nelson, without Randall Cobb, and again, we're anticipating he'll be able to play week 1. But still, Kevin, I mean, it's, you know, what's that mean for Eddie Lacy? What's it mean for Aaron Rodgers? He's going to have a couple younger guys out there, and he doesn't have the experience with those type of players. You always worry about mistakes.
Morstead, Aberdaris waving it off. That was a poor punt.
Yeah.
And 4 seconds remain, so we'll see what Hundley does. He may wind up.
Well, this is great field position.
Yeah.
If you get one completion, now it's got to be something really quick. But if you get one completion, you may have a chance to run Mason Crosby out there for a field goal. But you've only got 4 seconds. The ball has to be completed. The receiver has to get out of bounds. Has to be a quick out there. Something very quick.
Well, what would you do?
Well, you look at what the situation is in the game. I mean, I want to give the kicker a chance to make a play. I mean, I think you have time, Kevin, to pick up 7 yards. Of course, the Saints are going to do everything they can to keep the receiver on the field.
That'll be a 66-yard field goal try. They've decided to roll out their offense, and they are going to try it.
Timeout
taken by
Green Bay. Their second, 30-second timeout.
Crosby out. They must have.
Well, if you had 6 or 7 seconds left, you could complete a 6 or 7 yard pass. The receiver could go down and take one of those timeouts. But with 4 seconds, you know, as soon as you snap the ball, you're essentially, you know, the play is over. You got one shot.
Well, the crowd senses this is going to be a field goal try. If we think 60.
Timeout.
Let me see.
Hold on.
New Orleans, they're first. Let's take 30-second timeout.
Pushing the wrong talkback button. What you have to do is now, this is going to be a live ball. You've got to be able to cover this kick. I'm sure Mike McCarthy and Sean Slocum are talking about that. The Saints have a player back to bring this one out. As you see him.
Rich, I'll be anxious to visit with you about the Brady scenario in the second half.
Big decision today. Patriots fans pretty excited about the decision that was handed down.
Crosby's career-long 58. This will be a 66-yard field goal try. It's got...
Oh, here it comes.
It was short and taken out by running back Marcus Murphy. And you can see they got about a bunch of linemen out there. And look, he's breaking tackles. And finally, he is brought down on the play by Green Bay's Tim Masted, who was the holder on that field goal try. 46-yard return. But the Packers tie it up. Jeff Janis caught that laser from rookie quarterback Brett Hundley. 14-yard strike ties it at 10. We're at halftime at Lambeau in Green Bay on the Packers TV network. With a look at quarterback Scott Tolzien, who started the game. Aaron Rodgers did not suit up for a second consecutive game. Touchdown pass of 14 yards. Brett Hundley to Jeff Janis. Moments ago, our Rod Burks caught up with the coach on the sideline.
Coach, how tough is it for you when you've got young men out here trying to fight and scratch to make this football team, and after this game, you're going to tell some guys that they're not good enough to stay?
Hardest part of your job. You know, Sunday or Saturday is a very difficult day, but you know, I'm thinking of the good things. We're going to have a good time here tonight and go get this win.
All right, thanks, Coach. Have a good second half.
Thank you.
Mike told us
that's Coach McCarthy
morning.
on his way for the second half. We got this game tied up right now at 10 apiece. Guys?
Rod, thank you. Mike said, as you take a look at some of the numbers, that he will stay at the stadium tonight. He'll watch the tape of the game, as he says, to confirm what I saw. He thinks Ted Thompson will be here at 4 o'clock in the morning tomorrow as they try to go through this roster.
No rest for the weary. He will go right to his office after the game, Kevin. He'll grade and evaluate the film, and while it's fresh in his mind, just to confirm what he saw. And you know, this is the toughest part of being a coach these next couple days, is you sit in those personnel meetings with the general manager and try and decide who stays and who doesn't. You know, you develop relationships with all these players. You spend so much time, and it's hard. It's hard to be able to have that conversation with a young player or even a veteran player and tell them that this simply isn't the right time or the place for you.
Rich, you've been in that position. I mean, you know the uncertainty that these players are going to be going through.
Yeah, you know, I was fortunate to play 17 years. I was fortunate that I never got cut, but I know what it's like, Kevin, being around locker rooms and watching guys come into the locker room and clean out their locker and throw all their stuff into a hefty trash bag and head home. It's a very difficult time in the National Football League.
Snead is back. He'll retrieve it, and he will bring it out. Out to the 10-yard line. Elliott there with the stop. 17-yard return. The third quarter is sponsored by UW Health, the physicians, researchers, and healthcare professionals of UW Health. Remarkable.
Well, the Packers struggled a little bit out defensively the first quarter, but then they really settled down. The Saints had no first downs in the last 12 minutes of the first half.
Saints have it, first down and 10. Garrett Grayson is the new quarterback, and he rolls and fires, and it's a little bit in back of his intended receiver, Orson Charles. The catch is made with the dive at the 23, 13-yard pickup and a first down. Garrett Grayson from Colorado State. He was a third-round selection.
They really like this young quarterback, Kevin. He's a guy that I think the Vikings or the Packers looked at closely. A lot of other teams looked at. A guy that's got a pretty good arm and played a lot of football at Colorado State.
First and 10, moving up well here. Slings the pass, which is dropped. May have been Joseph Morgan. It was incomplete. Oh, no, he did catch it, they said. All that ball popped out. 13-yard pickup again after a 13-yard pass to Charles.
Grayson's in a pretty good situation, chance to watch him. I think he did catch it, and that ball comes out. He's able to fall right back on it. Very fortunate. Morgan, you see, he's going to get a hit. Banjo does a nice job ripping and stripping and getting that ball on the ground.
It's a first and 10 from the 37. With the handoff here, and once again, Marcus Murphy stopped behind the line of scrimmage, hit by a couple on the play, including Joe Thomas. Loss of 2, second and 12. Thomas is from South Carolina State.
Well, he comes flying up in there. Combination of Joe Thomas and Jake Ryan.
Yeah, Jake Ryan, and finished off. Thomas was in camp last year. Had knee issues, invited back again. Here's a nice tackle made by Kyrie Thornton in the middle, the third-round pick from last year, who had a knee issue most of the season. It's a gain of 3, and the gain is up to the 38-yard line.
You know, Mike McCarthy, as we visited with him this morning, referred to these third-column guys, and Jake Ryan's one of them, Kevin. If you look at our flip card here, the guys in the third column that aren't, you know, starters or first or second line players. These are the players that are going to get extended playing time in the second half. These are guys that are going to play a lot of special teams, and these are the guys that Ted Thompson and Mike McCarthy have to make some tough decisions on by Saturday evening.
There's a third and 9. Nice knock away by Richardson.
Well, there's a great example. I mean, you look at a guy like Sean Richardson. He's a versatile player. He can play inside. He can play in the secondary, and he's one of the best special team coverage players, and that's why he's going to make the team.
Well, Mike told us special teams are where some of the positions on the final roster will be won. 4 down players, Mike calls them. Special team work crucial to them making the team. Good looking punt right here. Alberderis from the 6. A shoestring tackle made by Shantavius Jones from Valdosta State, first-year player. Early in the third, tied at 10, 55-yard punt.
This Packers preseason game is sponsored by Mills Fleet Farm, Ticketmaster, Toyota, UW Health, the Wisconsin Lottery, and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
Back at Lambeau. Or Santa Claus replacement, either one.
I don't know if he runs as well as Jordy at this point in his career.
Replacing the production of Jordy Nelson. That will be clutch. Here comes Hundley. Running back Alonzo Harris swerving. Gain of a yard in the play. Couple there, including Tavares Barnes of Clemson. But, I mean, this is a couple things. Replacing the production of Nelson.
Not going to happen.
So you've got a quarterback and Rodgers, who has obviously practiced with the replacements and the kids that will be following in those footsteps, yet no live action in these last two games with the revamped receiving core.
Yeah, and
concern to you?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, Jordy Nelson was Aaron's right-hand man last year. 98 catches, had a club record, 1,519 yards and 13 touchdowns. And Kev, we talked about the trickle-down effect, how that affects everybody. It's going to affect a guy like Randall Cobb. You know, he had 91 catches.
Green Bay.
It's going to affect the tight ends.
Timeout.
It's going to affect Eddie Lacy. So I think when you look at, you know, how they're going to make that up, well, you need more out of Randall Cobb. You're going to need more out of the younger players. Devontae Adams is going to need to be a more productive player in this offense. But look at those numbers. I mean, and especially the big play, the explosive plays, the pass plays of 30 yards or more. You know, Jordy Nelson may be the best dig post runner or the post corner runner in football. And, you know, he has the ability to change gears. And you lose those big plays from a Pro Bowl wide receiver.
Harris sports free. Runs out before Edabali brings him down. Gain of 7 on the play. And that's all, of course, a part of this wide receiver battle and the names involved in it.
And some really tough decisions. And I mentioned earlier, you know, there could be a wide receiver, Kevin, that isn't on the roster right now that ultimately winds up here. I mentioned a couple players, James Jones, Jarrett Boykin, Jeremy Ross. Two of those players are currently on other rosters, but they could get cut and they could wind up back here in Green Bay.
Oh, and he's got the receiver on the move. Pincard, a foot race. Larry Pincard, undrafted out of Old Dominion, takes it to the house and to the stands. 77 yards.
Well, that'll help your chances, won't it?
Hundley has thrown his second touchdown pass tonight.
And Pincard really showed some speed there, Kevin. Once he caught that ball, he was off to the races. Another nice job with a slant route. He starts him upfield, and then he uses that left arm to gain separation from Stanley Jean-Baptiste, and he is off to the races.
Undrafted, a 3-year letterman was Pincard. Second all-time leading receiver at Old Dominion with the extra point through. Green Bay 17 unanswered points. Pincard had a couple of 1,000-yard receiving seasons in college. On a slant and a terrific throw, he's off to the races. And Green Bay is up for the first time. Hundley has thrown 2 touchdown passes tonight. Pincard grew up in Washington, D.C. That's where he played high school, and he was a track star. We saw some of that speed on that 77-yard catch and run for a touchdown.
Yeah, really terrific straight line speed. Now you make a big play, Kevin, on offense, and they send you right back out there to cover a kick.
Hundley, his last 2 pass attempts, both for touchdowns.
It's pretty good for your quarterback rating there, 3 for 85.
Crosby the kick. They'll leave it in the end zone. To the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. Let's revisit the play with Pincard.
Well, let's take a look at it here. And he's just going to run the slant route, but keep an eye on the safety and the linebacker, especially the safety. He takes a really poor angle. He's studying the eyes of the quarterback, and he comes out of the middle of the field. It's like 2 ships passing in the night. And once Pincard catches that ball, as you said, Kevin, he's gone. There is no help there from the safety.
He beat Stanley Jean-Baptiste out of Nebraska. He's a second-round pick in that secondary for the New Orleans Saints. Highly skilled kid. Pincard undrafted, beating them right there. Packers with their first lead. It's a 1st and 10. And for the first time tonight, we'll take a look at Edwin Baker out of Michigan State, who runs to the side. He's to the 22, and he picks up 2 for the Saints.
A good look at Jake Ryan. Did a lot of work in the middle of that Packers 3-4 defense. A guy that I really like, Kevin, coming out of college. And I like the fact that started 41 games at Michigan and was a captain his final 2 seasons for the Wolverines.
2nd down and 8 for Garrett Greason. Goes outside. That one was dropped, as you saw, by Alex Smith, and he's a veteran. Smith is out of Stanford. He's bounced around a little bit. 3rd down and 8 now coming up. Remember, they lost Jimmy Graham, the Saints did. They sent him away, traded to Seattle.
That's a big loss. I mean, they do pick up Max Unger, the Pro Bowl center for the Seattle Seahawks, but that's a huge loss for them. This is an offense that led the NFL in total yards. 3rd down efficiency was among the league leaders in red zone success, but they were sabotaged by 30 turnovers on offense.
Into 6 defensive backs. Broken up. I'll tell you what, Jaron Elliott has played a very solid game tonight. Off the line, coming through, playing outside, falls back in coverage, breaks it up. They got a punt.
Right, this is a great example showing his versatility, Kevin. We've seen him rush the passer. He's done a terrific job of that. And then we see him dropping back in coverage. Terrific play by the rookie, Jaron Elliott.
Abradaris is deep. Thomas Morstead.
Really good hang time.
Fair caught, 27. Hang time was well over 4 seconds. Saints 5 consecutive punts. 51-yard booter right there. So here was Hundley after a 2nd touchdown pass thrown. He's running as fast as his receiver just did. Timeout. One of the interesting things about Jaron Elliott, you just saw break up that pass. He has 4 sprained fingers on his right hand, and he's been a bit sidelined with that. Go back to that first game against the Patriots. We did in Foxborough, led the Packers with 7 tackles. Broke up a pass right there. Making another effort to make this team. Led the special teams and tackles a year ago for Green Bay. So the punt, the 5th consecutive for the Saints. And with Hundley under center, 1st and 10 from the Green Bay 28-yard line. Here they come, and there he goes. Hundley ran right into his lumbering lineman, Andy Phillips.
Phillips
Lost
get out of the way.
Yeah, he couldn't. He seems, uh-oh.
I think it's a great example of his elusiveness. He's a hard guy to get on the ground, Brett Hundley. He's a very good runner of the football if he'll just avoid the guys in the green jerseys. Oops.
2nd down and 12. Crockett to the 31-yard line. Hit, tackle. Sean Mabry, gain of 5 on the play.
And Kevin, there's a number of players on this roster that may not make the team, but I still think are quality NFL players. You know, it's a tough spot to be in. We talked about the situation with Matt Blanchard. We're thinking he's an NFL player, and he gets caught up in a numbers game. And you know, I look at the running back situation here. We talked about Lacey and Starks. We know what we have there. Rajon Neal's been terrific. But this John Crockett, I think he's an interesting prospect. I think he can play in the NFL. I think he'll get that opportunity at some point.
Sure was a decorated college player. 3rd down and 7. Hundley. Incomplete.
There's my guy again.
Abradaris with Kyle Wilson, Rich's guy, covering on the play.
He's been in on a lot of plays. They haven't all been good, but he's been in on a lot of plays. That was not a great decision by Brett Hundley. There was some tight coverage there by Wilson.
Packers will not try a field goal from here. As a tongue-in-cheek, they tried a 66-yarder right at the end of the half.
Well, 10 men on the field, that's a problem.
Mastay will punt. Minimal breeze inside Lambeau Field tonight. Snead signaling for, makes the fair catch. So it's inside the 20 at the 16. Hang time of 4.35. 52-yard punt. And 8:28 in the third. Quarterbacks having a discussion. In that quarterback room now, you've got quarterbacks, obviously, with receivers and running backs and tight ends. They're all kind of in there together, trying to get on the same page, kind of a new wrinkle.
Yeah, even more important now, Kevin, when you consider there's going to be so many young wide receivers in that quarterback wide receiver meeting room. It's important that they meet together. Communication absolutely critical. Alex Van Pelt coaching both the quarterbacks and wide receivers for the Packers.
First down and 10. Timeout taken by Grayson.
Timeout.
We talked about emphasis in training camp, points of emphasis. Mike lays it out for the entire team. And one of them was to stay healthy. The third quarter sideline interview is sponsored by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all, to Rod Burks.
The night off, nothing wrong with that. Last year you battled that toe injury. You're back healthy, got some time off during training camp. How you feeling going into the regular season?
Feeling good. Feeling healthy. Feeling confident with where we're at. Feeling confident with the work we got in training camp. We're excited to get to the regular season where it matters.
Yeah, I know you lost Jordy Nelson for the season, but are you excited about what this offense can do? You got all the guys up front, back, and you got Eddie Lacy, who's probably turned into one of the best backs in the league.
Yeah, you know, Jordy's a guy that you can't replace, but we're still, like I said, we're still very confident in what we can do. You know, we've been lucky with the way Ted drafts. You know, we're always deep at, seems like, most positions. So we're still confident, and we're ready to get out there and get started. It'll be fun to watch Eddie. I think he's probably playing as good as he's played. And I know it's just preseason, but he looks very explosive, and he's going to be good.
Can you talk about the growth of Corey Linsley? The guy steps in and get any, you know, big-time snaps with Aaron Rodgers, the way he played last year.
Well, he had a hell of a year. You know, that's not an easy thing to do with only a week preparation. You know, that's a tough thing to do, to step into this offense. You know, we feel like we're more advanced in a lot of offenses, and you know, you learn the base offense, but then you kind of learn what we do. You know, you teach the young guys the base offense, and then when you're on the ones, you got to learn a whole nother offense almost. So it's not an easy thing to do, and he played great. He's gotten even better this year, so we're excited to see how he plays.
A lot of people out there picking you guys to make a Super Bowl run, and nothing wrong with that, right, going into this season?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's always our goal. You know, we've set a standard around here, and we expect to win the division and get to the Super Bowl every year. You know, that's our goal. Obviously, we think we have the team and the coaching staff and the organization to do it. They put us all in the right place to do it. So.
All right, Josh Hitton joining us down here at the sideline, one of the best guys in the locker room, but never turn your back on him because he will get you. We'll send it back up to you guys in the booth.
Sitting and Lang, two of the top 5 guards in pro football. Here's a long one by Grayson, and broken up at the last second by Gunter. What great catch-up speed he has, the undrafted player out of Miami.
Yeah, he really does, Kevin. He's got great recovery speed, as you point out. He does a nice job finding the ball and getting that left hand up in there, knocking it away. He's got long arms, and he does a nice job playing the ball in the air.
It's interesting you say it, long arms. It seems like that's one of the prerequisites now these GM scouts are looking for in their defensive backs.
Guys that can play at the line of scrimmage, have long arms, that can use those long arms to disrupt the receiver's timing and release off the line of scrimmage. They play a lot of press, man-to-man coverage.
Gunter right there making a real statement in this preseason.
I really like Gunter, Kevin. I think he's done an outstanding job. And I like the other 2 rookies as well, Demarius Randall and Quentin Rollins. I think they've really helped themselves at the cornerback position. I think all 3 of these players are going to be key players as the season goes along.
It's 3rd down and 6. Grayson slings one for a first down. Flag is down, caught beautifully by Morgan. The gain right now to the 25-yard line of Green Bay.
That's going to be on Morgan, I believe.
Little push.
We're pushing off.
Pass interference, offense, number 17. 10-yard penalty, repeat, third down.
When Rod was talking to Josh Sitton, you just can't put enough value on those guards. Lang and Sitton, and what they meant to Lindsley last year as a rookie being thrown in there when Treader was injured.
Kevin, what a great point to be able to rely on two veteran players, two of the best guards in the business, and they really helped Corey Lindsley. You know, the 5th-round pick, he was forced into action early when J.C. Treader got hurt, but T.J. Lang and Josh Sitton, and how well they played. Those guys, both of them, weren't healthy the second half of the season, but really kept that group together.
6 in the secondary, 3rd and 16. And broken up, Banjo jumping on the back of Josh Morgan. There's a flag. It was late.
Call that on Banjo. He got there maybe a tad early. And the back judge on the far sidelines called it.
Pass interference, defense, number 32. Ball will be placed in the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Well, it's a crossing route. And you see Banjo there. He's got Morgan, and he just, well, can't tell as much from that angle, but one official didn't throw the flag. The official on the far side is the one that threw the flag. Mike McCarthy clearly doesn't agree with that call.
21-yard penalty. It is first down and 10 yards to go. Edwin Baker. Patient. Chops his way outside. Picks up a couple. We mentioned Devon House is gone. Tramon Williams leaves as a free agent, signs the contract with Cleveland. This is what remains. Young players to fill the veteran spots of those two, House and Williams.
Yes, the secondary is going to look a bit different without Williams and House. And outside, Casey Hayward led the team last year with 3 interceptions. You look at young players, Kevin, and that's what it's going to look like in the secondary, playing a lot of key snaps.
The second down and 8. Good block by the receiver Jones. Run by Baker. Brought down by Fenor. Down to the 21-yard line. We're talking to Mike. And they're restructuring, Rich, how they meet during the week, including some new meetings on Monday and Friday.
Yeah, the coaching staff, he's going to do some things differently. He's going to meet with the entire staff to preview the upcoming opponent and really make sure he gets everyone on the same page. On Wednesdays, he'll have a more thorough breakdown for offense, defense, and special teams in terms of the keys for the game. And then on Friday, for the first time, he's going to meet one-on-one with all 3 coordinators to finalize the plan and go over final revisions. So Mike really reevaluating, Kevin, what they do as a coaching staff. He talked about availability and accountability. He said it starts with the coaching staff, and so they're really doing some things differently. They're always looking, Mike's always looking at quality control issues, things that they can do better, more efficiently as a staff to make this a better football team and a better coached football team.
Second down and 10. Garrett Grayson, 3rd-round rookie pick. Colorado State, and like a runaway freight train, here comes Joe Thomas. Thomas comes squirting through. The inside linebacker candidate. A loss of 10. It'll be 3rd and 20.
Well, you're going to see a little middle dog cross. You're going to see 2 linebackers will cross. Jake Ryan goes first. Thomas wraps around and gets the easy sack on Garrett Grayson. Really nice job by those 2 inside linebackers working in tandem with that interior pressure.
It's 3rd down and 20. The Saints need the 11-yard line of Green Bay. Flag thrown. Delay a game. Too much time.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
You see Sean Payton doesn't like that. A young quarterback out there. You've got the Packers defense moving around. He looked confused there.
When they dropped from 75 to 53, 22 players out there on the street, I got to believe there's not another team in pro football that have more of those cut players picked up than ex-Packer players to other teams.
Yeah, you're right, Kevin. The other thing is just because you make the final 53 doesn't mean you'll even survive the first week. There could still be changes at that point, so you never know.
Incomplete. 4th down. They're going to try for a field goal.
You know, I've seen players make the team, make the 53-man roster, call mom and dad, go out and get an apartment, buy a car, and then get cut on Thursday before the first regular season game. You know, it happens. You just don't know. They may keep a young player, and all of a sudden another player from another team becomes available.
In the NFL, it stands for not for long.
And there are no guarantees.
No guarantees.
Every day you walk in the building, you're being evaluated.
53-yard field goal try. Hopkins, no good. Wide right. Packers defense holds. 17 unanswered points by the Packers. Their defense getting in the act now too. Hundley throwing touchdown passes, and Thomas comes streaming through, dousing the quarterback. 3:10, 3rd quarter from Lambeau. In northeast Wisconsin, Labor Day is upon us. This state, one of the most hospitable you'll ever go to. Lakes and streams and forests, and a lot of people come streaming into this state to finish off their summer vacation up to Door County. 1st and 10 after the missed field goal, 53 yards. Hundley, nice fake. Good camouflage. He's got his tight end with the catch. And that is Mitchell Henry with a pickup of 11 with the 3rd quarter sideline interview sponsored by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all, to Rod Burks.
Thanks, guys. We're joined by Nick Perry, the linebacker for the Green Bay Packers. A little banged up in training camp. How you feeling going into the season, Nick?
Feeling great. You know, I took the right steps to get back on track, and now I'm out here ready to go, you know.
Let's talk about your role going into this season. You got to be excited about the year. What are you looking to do to help out this defense?
Improve in any way I can, help the team. We're going to do good things this year, and I'm just looking forward to having my best season yet.
All right, everybody's waiting for you to have that great season. Are you excited about this defense going into the new year, and why?
It's going to be big because we're bringing a lot of guys back. We're starting off like we never have, so you know, we're just finishing off where we left off last year, and we're ready to be a dominant force.
How about B.J. Raji? He missed all of last year with that torn bicep. Getting him back in the middle, playing him at nose guard, how much is that going to help out these guys?
Another big body in the inside, you know, help us stop the run, get us to those 3rd down situations, and get the quarterback down.
All right, this is Nick Perry down in the sideline. I'm going to send it right back up to you guys in the booth.
All right, Rod, thank you. This is Harris. It's stymied. Nick Perry with an injury history, Rich. He's had shoulder surgery at the end of last season, missed the off-season program, foot injury at the start of this training camp, and abdominal issues, groin issues. That's a problem.
Injuries have clearly hindered his growth and development in the system, and this is not an easy system. You know, Dom Capers has been the defensive coordinator here for 7 seasons, and you know, I think it's taken Nick Perry a while, but I think he's finally kind of found his niche. And I think they've got real talent there at linebacker with Peppers, Matthews, Bradford, Perry, Barrington. It's a good group.
Hundley nimbly moves out of the way. The ball bouncing, and it was picked up. They called it incomplete. Rotherham jumped on it. Or Phillips, excuse me.
You got a player down, Kevin.
You're sure doing it's a Packer play.
Rolling on the field is an incomplete pass.
Another receiver.
That's our touchdown runner of 77 yards.
Right on that shoulder.
Picard.
That left shoulder. You see him up top running that slant route again.
Oof.
And he's grabbing that left shoulder right away.
Landed right on it.
Yep.
And then when Kenny Phillips leapt over, it looked like he may have even bumped that shoulder as well. So he is down.
It's good to see him get up.
Mike was talking to us today about raising the collective IQ of the team. Something he says begins right at the first of the year and carries right on through all the off-season camp training mini camps and training camps.
Yeah, not just understanding your assignment and responsibility, but how you fit into the entire play concept and understanding what the other 10 players are doing. This is the world that Aaron Rodgers lives in, and what he wants is that everyone understands the offense or the defense or the kicking game that way. Not just what you're doing, but how you fit into the entire concept. And I think that's what Mike was talking about in terms of raising the football IQ of the football team.
Mastay, 34-yard punt out of bounds at the 8. Good punt there by Mastay. Let's take a look at some of the schedule now for the Packers. We've talked a bit about Chicago and the division. This is what the first 8 look like for Green Bay.
Yeah, and you always worry anytime you've got a staff that is completely new, and that's the situation in Chicago and in San Francisco. A lot of turnover in those two cities. And then look at the second half of the season, or the second quarter of the season. St. Louis, San Diego, some tough opponents. St. Louis has a chance to be a whole lot better on defense.
Raising the quarterback. Hit Edwin Baker was by Jake Ryan, who comes streaming through. We'll look once again at that schedule with the loss of 1 in the play by the interior linebacker Ryan.
And 2 divisional winners there in weeks 7 and 8. You've got Denver and Carolina, and then of course look at the final 8 games, some divisional games. Detroit, they won 11 games last year, and you've got of course the Thanksgiving night game. Chicago, Brett Favre will return once again to Lambeau. That'll be a special evening. And tough schedule. It should be. You win 12 games, you win 4 straight division titles.
Whoa, second and 11 on the ricochet, picked up by Tay Glover Wright. Hit a couple guys, and ricochets right to right.
This is the tip drill that they work on every day in practice. They're working on ball extraction. They're working on tip drills, anything they can do to get their hands on footballs. And it's a really nice play here. Goes off the receiver. You see Banjo tips it. And Glover Wright is right there. Nice concentration by the young corner. It'd be great to see the teammates. Everyone's happy for, that's the sign of a good football team. You see 15, 20 guys run over the young player and pat him on the back.
Rocket in the backfield. Hundley under center, first down and 10. We've talked about Crockett all summer long. Had ankle issues in June, returned to practice in early August. Missed about 2 months with that high ankle.
Of the third quarter.
There was a kid who was a part of 3 FCS national championships at North Dakota State. The ricochet, the retrieval at the end of 3. The Packers up by 7. Beautiful Lambeau. The fourth quarter sponsored by Goodwill. Goodwill, believe in the power of work. With Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan, Rod Burks is on our sideline. Vance Allen is our host. Tom Capers at work. His defense just made a pick, and they've given the offense a nice chance. We start the fourth quarter, second down and 7. Hundley with 2 touchdown passes. Unovich with a block at the left tackle. He's smart too. Not only is he nimble, he's smart. Hundley gets a yard but stays out of harm's way.
He's got a real comfort level in the pocket, Kevin, and when it's not there, he doesn't panic. He gets through his progressions, and if it's not there, he's able to pull it down and make plays. And you always like that in a quarterback, the ability to make a play. There's going to be 2 or 3 times in every game where something bad happens. A receiver falls down, a protection breakdown. Can you make a play? Can you make those 2 or 3 big plays in a game? And certainly Aaron Rodgers can do that, and we're finding out that the youngster Brett Hundley has got some of that in him as well.
Hundley moves up. He's looking for White. He throws low underneath. And White makes the grab. White signaled with his right hand behind his back. I don't know if we can get that on replay, but and see that there was kind of that nonverbal communication, which is very much a part of this Green Bay offense. Subtle communication. Rodgers begins it, and Hundley, it looks like it's trickled down to him.
A lot of communication at the line of scrimmage, Kevin, you're right, between the receivers and quarterbacks in this system. You might get a different look. You might get a corner that jumps inside. and they've got hand signals. They've got verbal cues. You see another Packer defender leave the field.
Well, a couple things. Rasco is going in, and I just noticed that Jeff Triplett is not on the field, our referee. I'm looking. I don't see Jeff Triplett.
I flew down with Jeff Triplett.
I know you did.
Last night.
What'd you say to him?
I asked him some questions about rule changes. I'm always working, Kevin. I don't know if you know that or not.
I know that.
I stay busy on the flight.
The reason why they're doing this is a six-man rotation just for the possibility of it happening during the season. Crockett will carve out about a yard.
Yeah, you know,
this is all part of this is by design.
Yeah, this is a great example of what they do. You see, he's taking a blow and he's got his hat off. But what they do now is when the referee leaves the game, they will make adjustments.
Boy, is he a good guy.
Yeah, he's terrific.
He is about as nice a guy as you want. They're also experimenting with an 8th official during this preseason. Now they're down to 6, and this is to prepare crews for whatever may happen. Guy pulls a muscle, gets hit, 2nd and goal, touchdown, Ripkowski. And the welcoming party. 3rd touchdown pass tonight by Brett Hundley. Oh, we're going to wipe it away. The other thing is, I don't think this official has a microphone. So thus we can't get the explanation, nor who it was on, from the field as they experiment.
Right, so the side judge in this situation, Kevin, he slides into the backfield and he takes over for Jeff Triplett. You've got the umpire over on the other side, and Jeff Triplett coaching him up on the boundary.
So it is 2nd down and goal. The ball pushed back out to the 14-yard line for Brett Hundley.
There's another hand signal.
They look out. Boy, just another nice nimble move to get out of the way. Crockett was eventually hauled down by Jerry Franklin. It is a gain of 4. You know, Rodgers talks a lot about that. Just a nod or a blink or a hand signal, whatever, to his receivers.
Yeah, Gunovich, left tackle, appreciates this. He gets beat right away, and yet you've got a mobile quarterback that's able to avoid the rush, step up, keep 2 hands on the football, and find a completion. It's a positive play by the rookie Hundley.
Young players getting a lot of snaps tonight. This will be invaluable because there's no doubt that some frontline player will go down during the course of the season. We've already seen it in the preseason. 3rd and goal, moving out of harm's way. Crockett making a miss and digs his way to the 2. Wilson will be on the tackle. 8-yard pickup.
Boy, Hundley, we talked about his footwork, Kevin. He's done a really nice job sliding and stepping up into the pocket and avoiding the rush.
You like the fact they're going to go for it here, don't you?
Absolutely.
Tom Clemens calls in the plays. He's calling in the plays and is on the headset. Aberderis, White on one side. Tight end Henry at the bottom of your screen. Williams, number 5 in the slot. 4th and goal. Hundley. Oh, wide open. White. Third touchdown pass tonight by rookie Brett Hundley. Set up by the Glover White interception. I know this 4th preseason game is the most quickly forgotten game you'll have on your schedule, but there's got to be some residual effect in terms of good feeling about the way both sides play.
I think you always want to go into the end of the preseason, first and foremost, come out healthy. But I think the other part of it, Kevin, is you want to make sure that you are feeling good about training camp, what you've put in, and really every phase of the game. And I think the Packers well on their way to having another great season.
What's Mike always say? What do you always say? The best thing a young player can get? Reps. And these kids are getting reps, and they've scored 24 unanswered points.
Well, Kevin, you know as well as I do that repetition is the mother of learning. We talk about it all the time, but repetition es mater studiorum. You Latin scholars out there. The more you do something over and over again, the better you get at it. That's why they rep these plays all the time in training camp. That was a really great release by Miles White. We'll get a chance to look at it in a second.
With the ensuing kickoff, Snead will let it bounce out of the end zone. Touchback to the 20-yard line, 1st and 10. White just got the touchdown catch.
Well, I want you to look at the technique of the corner. He's inside, and what they're going to do is they have White go to the corner, and they run so much drag slant that now they send the inside receiver on the corner, and he simply gets lost. The corner outside is passing it off, and the outside defender runs with Abbrederis. Miles White wide open in the back of the end zone.
This is White's 3rd training camp. We talked about it a lot this summer. He's the 3rd most experienced receiver. Now the 2nd with Nelson going down. Murphy. Out of bounds, Fenor with the tackle at about the 23-yard line.
Well, after a rocky start, this defense has really poured it on here. Really starting in the 2nd quarter and in the 2nd half. They really have played well. They've stopped the run. They've gotten good, consistent pressure on the passer. They've made some big plays down the field. A big sack here by Joe Thomas. And, of course, the big turnover in the red zone.
Rookie quarterback Garrett Grayson with a 2nd down and 7. Ryan still on that line. Tosses it away. But the interesting part of the Packer defensive line is that they've got 2 suspensions. We touched on it earlier coming up. So they're going to, with Don Capers engineering, have to look at the roster in that line a little bit differently coming out of camp because it'll change week 1 and then after week 3.
Yeah, really difficult when you consider they're going to be without 2 defensive linemen. So that very well could affect what they do in terms of how many defensive linemen they keep on Saturday.
Grayson with a 3rd down and 7. Fires it over the head of Josh Morgan. With the incompletion, covered tightly. Saints owed their last 8 on 3rd down. Frustrating for their head coach.
Yeah, and the Packers are just all over this Saints offense. Grayson has nowhere to go with the football. Receivers can't get any separation from this Packers secondary. In the pass rush, even with 3- and 4-man rushes, they're still getting to the young quarterback.
Thomas Morstead with the punt and heavy pressure. Abbrederis watches it go out of bounds near the 25. They walk it to the 31. 10:26 in the 4th. 24 unanswered points by Green Bay. On top.
Well, Mike McCarthy's not interested in any one-hit wonders. Hundley was terrific last week against the Eagles. He's come back tonight and he's been just as solid. 12 of 17, 162 yards, 3 touchdowns to 3 different wide receivers, Janis, Picard, White. And he has looked really sharp. And a great job moving around. The protection always hasn't been great, and yet he's done a nice job sliding and finding the open receiver.
He is it, as you can see, 8 of his last 10, 3 of them for touchdowns. From the 31, 1st and 10 with the good fake that deceived it all. And here's White. And finding room to roam to the 31-yard line of New Orleans and brought down by Kenny Phillips. He races for 36 at Green Bay, 1st down.
Well, the Saints have had no answer for this stretch boot. And this is a play that Hundley has some history with. He did this at UCLA a little bit. Does a great job throwing the ball outside the pocket.
With a run right here, Alonzo Harris on 1st down and 10. Flag has been tossed on the play.
Our guy Jeff Triplett back, Kevin.
Eagles to hands. Hands to the face. Number 95 in the defense.
Rich Mike
5-yard
talking
penalty added in.
about other sets of eyes, pairs of eyes on this team in the offseason. Marty Schottenheimer, who was his coach in Kansas City, said you got to make sure that you are who you think you are. You got to make sure that what you stand for is there. Dennis Green may have said it about a game when he was coaching in the NFL, but Mike says that one of the things he needs to do is make sure what he thinks he has is really what he has.
And I think you get what you emphasize. And I think it's what they talk about and what you work on is what you become really good at. And I think that's what they do in Green Bay. And I think the other thing that's always been impressive to me, Kevin, as we come out here to training camp and the practices, they work every day on the little things. They work every day on fundamentals. They work on footwork. They work on ball extraction for the defense. They work on ball security. You'll see John Kuhn and the running backs going through a drill where, defensive players are trying to poke and pop and knock the ball out. They do every day. There's a focus. I was watching practice one day where offensive linemen were working on recovering fumbles. I mean, who works on those type of things?
Crockett, good blocking ahead. Gerhardt with the block, and look at the shifty Crockett take it to the 9. He got a block by Gerhardt. He got a block by Andy Phillips. He followed the big man downfield to the 9 of the Saints to set up a 1st and goal to go with a run and catch of 15.
Well, just a little screen pass, and he does a nice job. He's patient, and his good job following those big offensive linemen who are out in front of him. But Kevin, I was talking about offensive linemen. I mean, how many times have you seen a big lumbering offensive lineman trying to pick up a fumble, and he gets his knees blown out? They work on every little detail, things that could come up during the course of the season, and that's why they're one of the best teams in football.
Timeout.
They make little things
Green Bay,
big
their
things,
second,
points of
their
emphasis.
30-second timeout.
It's always attention to detail, isn't it? I mean, that's the success of every champion.
It really is, and I just think when you look at this coaching staff, how Mike has built this staff, how he's promoted coaches from within the staff. He loses good coaches. I mean, you lose a great coach like Joe Philbin a couple years ago, down now in Miami as the head coach. You lose Ben McAdoo, who's now the offensive coordinator. I mean, he's lost some good coaches on his staff. He promotes from within. He believes in the program. He believes in the system that they have in place. And, you look at these coaches. I mean, Edgar Bennett, he came in and initially worked with wide receivers. Now he's the offensive coordinator. He's worked with running backs. Alex Van Pelt worked at receivers. Now he's working with the quarterbacks as well. Zook was the assistant special teams coach last year. Now he's the coordinator. So he promotes from within. He trains and develops young coaches, and I think that's a staple in the success that Mike has had here in Green Bay.
Crockett picks up 5 on that 1st and goal. He takes it to the 4. Mike said also he's getting big into analytics. He said, I'm really paying more attention to analytics than ever before.
And he doesn't have a big ego. I mean, you look at, think about this offense. And this is a top 5 offense every year. They set records every year, and he handed those responsibilities and duties over to somebody else. It's not like he's got a big ego. He's about one thing, and that's competing and winning championships.
Crockett knifes his way near the 2 on that 2nd down and goal. Bottom of the pile, getting up Bobby Richardson.
I think that's the one thing he's really going to miss. I think calling plays when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers is fun. And I think he's going to miss that.
Mike was good at it.
He was great at it, Kevin. He and the guy on the other sideline, Sean Payton, I think are the 2 best play callers in football.
As head coaches.
And they have great quarterbacks, and they do a great job empowering those quarterbacks to make critical decisions at the line of scrimmage. He is going to miss that excitement, that game day excitement of calling plays for Aaron Rodgers.
3rd and goal, going inside. Williams flags on the field.
There's our guy again.
He's not he's your guy. He's not our guy.
We're having fun with Kyle Wilson. He's been around the football a lot, that's for sure.
Well, he was a disappointment as a 1st-round pick by the Jets.
Pass interference. Offense, number 19. That penalty is declined. Going to the play as a 4th down.
It was a major disappointment.
They'll go for it. Yes, he was. Boise State.
Yeah, he was a liability in coverage, and you see right here.
Yeah.
He gets hit on the right arm.
Packers bring in a couple tight ends. You see both of them right there, Henry and Dak.
Tight end usage so important. We'll see 2 and 3 tight ends in the game at times for the Packers.
4th and goal. Hundley with 3 touchdown passes so far. Make it 4. Miles White, his second.
You know, I think the Packers have a game day official or game day personnel guy assigned to help these guys get out of the stands when they do the Lambeau Leap. I think that's pretty cool. I just saw a gentleman run over there to help Miles White out of the stands.
How about this? The last 2 drives by Green Bay. 4th down, touchdown passes to White. Both 2 yards.
Yep.
You can't, Rich, you
really
can't make this stuff up.
No, he's really helped himself tonight, Kim. A couple of these young receivers, I think, have done an outstanding job. I think Miles White is going to make this 53-man roster.
Packers have scored 31 unanswered points. Brett Hundley has gone from the 4th quarterback to the 3rd quarterback. And I'm telling you, and you just mentioned it to me, he looks good enough to be the number 2 quarterback.
He really does, Kevin. He's looked terrific, and I don't know if I was Scott Tolzien, I'd be a little bit nervous. This time next year, you know, Hundley could be the 2nd guy. I mean, he's really picked up the offense quickly. He looks really comfortable, and yeah, you talk about a 5th-round pick. What a steal for Ted Thompson and the Packers.
Moved up to get him. Snead, who caught a touchdown pass earlier. Special team issues here. Gunter from behind brings him down. 47-yard return.
Well, we talked about a lot of young receivers really stepping up tonight. Miles White having a couple touchdowns and a couple big catches in this game. He showed some ability there to make some big yards after the catch. Really nice route, starting him inside, then working back outside. And
Miles White had 9 catches last week, has 4 catches and 2 touchdowns tonight. They have a beat on Edwin Baker. Bringing them down, Jake Ryan from behind. So the guys that are trying to step up and somehow fill the bottom part of a 5 wide receiver rotation without Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, all 3 of these players have done some good things throughout training camp, and especially tonight, and trying to make this decision very difficult for the Green Bay Packers.
With a 2nd down and 9, it's picked off. Grabbed on the play, intercepted Chris Banjo at the 49. 2nd Packer interception tonight.
Really nice play by Banjo. He sees it the whole way. He's reading the eyes of Garrett Grayson. Does a nice job jumping in front of this route. You're going to see him. He's back here in the left part of your screen and does a nice job watching the receiver Morgan cross the field, and then he jumps right in front of the crosser. Great anticipation by the safety, Chris Banjo.
Rich, the cloud that hung over this team in the offseason was the collapse in the NFC Championship game. Is there any doubt in your mind, being around the team, being in practice, around the coaches, around the players, that is no longer an issue? Or does it stay an issue?
No, I don't think so at all, Kevin. I think Mike McCarthy and the staff did a great job addressing it. You can't allow what happened in the championship game to overshadow all the good things that this team did last season, including going 12-4, winning a 4th straight NFC title. This team is focused on winning their 5th straight title, getting back to the championship game, hosting that championship game here at Lambeau, and going off and winning their 14th World Championship. This is a veteran, a mature football team, a team that returns 10 of 11 starters on offense. Would have been 11 had Jordy not gotten hurt. This is a defense that has got talent at each level. This is a staff that's been together, and the expectations are sky high once again here in Green Bay.
And another theme has been the fast start, maybe to combat any kind of lethargy from last year in the loss and the long off season to think about it. You get off to the fast start, that can really renew any kind of spirit you may have had dented with that loss.
Yeah, and I think, every year it's different. This team is going to be different. That team last year will never play together. This is a team that's going to have some new faces, some young players, and it's about developing your own personality. It's about developing your own chemistry. And the great thing about Mike McCarthy and his staff, he hands the leadership of the team back over to the players. And I think that's what's so special and so unique. And they've got some great leaders, starting with their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to have another outstanding season.
Hundley, Lonzo Harris basically stopped at the line of scrimmage and hit on the play by Bobby Richardson. Well, there's some news and notes in the NFC North. Teams making noise, having camps themselves, and high hopes. And really, each of the teams, maybe less the Bears, more the Vikings, and certainly the Lions, all feel like they've got something that they can kind of hang their hat on going into this season.
No question about it. I think the Lions, a team that was 11-5 last year. They lose Ndamukong Suh to free agency. Stafford and Calvin Johnson, new head coach in Chicago. Look at the Vikings. They get Adrian Peterson back. He missed 15 games last year. And they've been talking a lot up in Minnesota about that defense. I think the Vikings will be an improved football team as well. They were 7-9 last year. They were in a lot of close games. This is a tough division. And the Packers really have dominated this division, but I think teams have improved. I think, the Lions, again, 11-5 in Jim Caldwell's first year. I still think that's the team that would concern me the most right now when you look at this division, if you're the Packers.
Well, the Packers since 2012 are only 5-6 in the month of September. That fast start, important. They've had 3 straight 1-2 starts. 9-yard gain right there. And they get the first down. Boy, look at, he's running like his future depended on it. And there he goes. He gets the first down, a pickup of 7. The big news in the NFL today, Rich, Tom Brady, and how a third party overturned the suspension. He will be there Thursday night against the Steelers to open up the season.
Yeah, New England Patriot fans spend most of the day, Kevin, celebrating Judge Berman's decision. The judge didn't exonerate Brady, but he was very concerned whether or not the Wells investigation was truly an independent investigation and whether or not the NFL had the power to suspend Brady based on the collective bargaining agreement. So Brady will be in uniform week 1. It's great news for the Patriots, not so good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the NFL said they'll appeal Judge Berman's decision to erase Brady's 4-game suspension. I think that a lot of people have different opinions. I think that
well, what did you personally think of the whole scenario?
I think clearly something happened. I don't know how involved Brady was. I can't imagine that someone would fool with those footballs without Tom Brady at least knowing. But they didn't have a ton of evidence that Brady was involved. And the other thing that really worked against the league, Kevin, was that, finish up this play.
Hundley, and caught by the tight end, Kennard Backman, the rookie and a 6th-round pick from Alabama Birmingham. Had trouble holding the ball early in camp. Has picked up his stride, picks up 20 yards right there. First down to the 16.
Well, this play action has absolutely killed the New Orleans Saints with action away to the left and Hundley rolling out to his right. But just to finish up our story, I mean, the Wells report, the Wells' law firm also acts as a consultant for the National Football League, and while simultaneously being involved in what was they referred to as an independent investigation. I think the judge had a really difficult time with that. I think it's one of the reasons why he ruled in favor of Tom Brady.
Crockett, I mean, have you ever, when you played, Rich, and you played a long time, with a lot of teams, a lot of snaps, I mean, I know that the cover of the ball, the feel of the ball, the texture of the ball, that is a different story now. Have you ever heard of any quarterback inflating or deflating?
No, I haven't. Quarterbacks like the footballs a certain way, and every team now is allowed to, play with their own footballs. And now the rules are going to change. You're not going to see footballs on the sideline. These are practice footballs, but you're not going to see these officials now will hold on to these footballs. The officials will bring them to the field. The officials will we'll bring him back to the locker room at halftime as we look at a touchdown.
Crockett and Ripkowski had a block. The rookie fullback. There goes Crockett. There goes the welcome. Ripkowski opens the door of the fullback and a rookie with a key block. A 15-yard touchdown run, and Green Bay has scored 37 unanswered. Nice way to conclude the preseason.
Yeah, you just talk about following the fullback, and then you see the big run up inside. A really nice job by Ripkowski leading up on that corner. He gets the key block as Crockett walks into the end zone untouched.
Leveled him. Steamrolled him. Put this on tape. A lot of teams scouting here tonight. The extra point, 38-10. 21-point fourth quarter for Green Bay.
You think about how this game started. New Orleans jumped on top early, and the Packers really responded, I thought, in the second quarter and just absolutely dominated the Saints the rest of the way, especially on defense. Offensively, 4 touchdowns on 6 possessions this half.
Mike was talking to us early in the season, this preseason, Rich, and he said, you know, we could right now have the group of the strongest leaders we've ever had in my locker room. Do you see that? Do you sense that?
I think they do, and I think we talked about guys like T.J. Lang and Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews. I think it's always important, Kevin, as you assemble your football team, to have a veteran leader, a veteran presence in each of those meeting rooms. Offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers, quarterbacks, defensive line, linebackers, secondary. I think the Packers have done a terrific job of that. You've got some great players, but also guys that care about one another. And I think that's what makes this team special and unique. You see these guys, they cheer for one another, they help the younger players, and they've created a very unique and special atmosphere, which is not necessarily the way it is in every NFL city.
We see them all. You and I see one every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
And we can send, you especially can send.
We get a chance to spend time with these teams. We're at practice, we're in the locker rooms, we get a chance to spend time with the coaches and general managers. These guys like playing together. These guys like working, and I think coming to work and competing and getting better every day. As you take a look at Eddie Lacy, he's going to have a terrific year, Kevin. He looked really sharp in those first 2 preseason games.
Grayson underneath, dropped. Incomplete, 1:57 to go. The Wisconsin Lottery presents the 2-minute warning. Packers scratch games are on sale now,
2-minute warning,
with a bonus drawing for a private suite for 2 games for 25 people. Learn more at WILottery.com. Balaga's ankle, they say, is okay. Bakhtari is back. And Crockett, he may not stay in Green Bay, but he could be on an NFL roster. The 2-minute warning at Lambeau. Packers with 38 unanswered. White with a couple of touchdown receptions. Pinkard caught one for 77 yards, catch and run. Hundley's thrown 3 touchdown passes. All rights to this broadcast are reserved. And any rebroadcast, recording, retransmission, or other use of this broadcast without the expressed written permission of the NFL is prohibited. Grayson. And he gets that out to the rookie out of Missouri, who has been a part of this game from the very opening kickoff, Marcus Murphy. And
what's glaringly apparent to me, Kevin, is that the younger players of the Packers are a whole lot better than the younger players of the New Orleans Saints. Since the start of the second quarter, the Packers have 354 yards, and the Saints just 105. They have dominated play since the second quarter.
3rd and 12. Murphy to the 20. And shy of a first down by 10. Just trying to make their final mark. That's why I think a lot of these guys that are not going to be around when they got to cut 22 players will end up on other rosters. 4th and 8. Garrett Grayson. How to get the first down here. Fenor, and he had the hit. Jarred the ball free. And I think he is shy of the first, and Green Bay will take over. Coming up in the American Family.
Ball was fumbled out of bounds, short of the line of the game, where it's the 1st and 10. Green Bay.
The American Family Insurance post-game report is being put together. We'll name the Wisconsin Department of Transportation Player of the Game. Also look ahead to next week's season opener when the Packers take on the Bears in Chicago. And we'll have some final thoughts on tonight's game and final roster cuts for Green Bay and the rest of the 31 teams in the league, all on the American Family Insurance postgame report. Victory formation. Just wait for the Packers to end. Their quarterback position is strong as it has ever been. Special thanks to Carl Mall. Rick, thank you so much. Peter, Greg, Kent, all of our wonderful staff. It takes so many to put this on. Tony and Tom and Lorraine, thank you. Nick, right on down the line. Scripps Company runs it out of Milwaukee. Flagship is TMJ. And Channel 26 in Green Bay. Thank you, Doug Brown and Peter Rudman. Matt, thank you. Excellent working with our crew. Jay and John, Alex, Rich Cope, thank you so much for the time you spend putting these together for us, making it very easy.
That's the end of the game.
17 days from today, these fans will see the Seahawks here in Green Bay for week 2. The 13th of September, it opens for the Packers as they make what many people have predicted will be a Super Bowl run. They are the favorite. They finished the preseason 2 up and 2 down. That had to mean a lot there to Hundley talking to Breeze. Back after this.